Monsieur de Richet, you're the only one missing at the conference. Please join the guests. Monsieur de Richet, you are expected at the conference. Please take the door to your left to join the guests.
I have suspected it.
Ah, Louis, I've been expecting you. Thank you for joining us. We are about to begin our conference. Let me explain what is at stake.
Thank you kindly, but what do you expect of me exactly? My mother's the one who's supposed to attend, not me.
That is indeed what was initially intended. Unfortunately, she still hasn't been found, and my guests can't stay here indefinitely. The conference must begin, and it would be truly beneficial to the Order to join in the project. Consequently, I would like you to replace her during her absence. What is at stake here is of the utmost importance.
It's important that the French Order gets their say. And should you need any advice, don't worry, you are not alone, Louis.
Very well. Can you give me a brief explanation of the aim of it all?
Of course, Louis, I was coming to that. The aim of these meetings is to bring together the most influential people in order to think together about the future.
But the future of who?
Of the world, Louis.
Our desire is to steer the destiny of our respective countries for the good of all, and to no longer suffer the random hazards of history.
In concrete terms, how do you organize your discussions?
A conference is always organized the same way. There are two masters of ceremony who determine an important subject.
You and Sir Gregory, I presume.
Exactly. We shall be the masters of ceremony. It was our obligation to each bring to the table several guests in order to debate a subject. Once the debate is closed, a decision will be made by a vote of all the participants.
By a unanimous vote. If the project is not agreed on by all, then it will be rejected.
And neither of the two masters of ceremony have the right to vote.
It's up to the guests alone to decide, Louis. In other words, us.
Gregory and myself are merely the go-betweens. Finally, if the project is validated, each guest goes home and starts working to make it happen.
It can take years.
Louis, let me keep you a moment. I would like to let you in on a secret before we begin, because I'm going to need your assistance. You see, the project I'm going to present concerns the territory of Louisiana in North America. It's currently Spanish territory, and I'm going to make the proposition to the Assembly for it to become French. My idea is to increase the territory of the United States. The first stone of this vast project consists of getting Spain to cede Louisiana to France. Once it becomes French, France will hand it over to the United States, which will then allow them to double the size of their territory. And that's where you come in. France and the United States, hand in hand, Two democracies illuminating the world.
But why spread it over 2 phases? Why not announce the overall project immediately?
Unfortunately, if Spain were to hear that the intention of all this is to allow the United States to grow, they would never sign. Manuel Godoy is perfectly aware of President Washington's appetite. If the United States took Louisiana, Godoy would know full well that he will have lost the entire North American continent. Things must take place in several stages. Otherwise, the change will be too brutal, and he will have no choice but to reject the project. Take a look at them. Apart from President Washington, they all belong to monarchies. Do you really think they won't resist? Of course they'll fight, fearful as they are of losing their precious privileges. But the world needs visionaries, like you, like your mother. It's a pity Sarah isn't here to see it. She only knew about a tiny part of the project. I hope I can count on you, Louis. It's time to start now. I must ask you to keep it to yourself for the time being. Take a seat, follow the discussions. We'll have an opportunity to catch up later, and you'll be able to let me know your thoughts.
Blast it, Mother. You didn't know about everything. His project is commendable. Why tell me to beware? Could you have gotten it wrong?
I can tell you that someone is an idiot. That makes no sense at all.
My friends, I propose we get started. First of all, I would like to thank you for taking the time to come.
The honor is ours, my lord.
As per our custom, here we are all together to discuss the face of tomorrow's world. Even though there may be certain tensions between our nations, I must ask you to keep an open mind. As Sarah de Richet is unable to be among us, please welcome Louis de Richet, who will represent the Golden Order and will vote on its behalf when the time comes.
Welcome among us, Louis.
Welcome, Monsieur.
I hope he'll be more effective than his mother regarding the protection of the King of France. The Order has proved particularly inefficient.
Come, Manuel, you're not going to spoil our visit. The Order's mission was not to protect King Louis XVI, as far as I am aware.
We are talking about a king of divine blood, for goodness sake. It seemed obvious to me he needed protecting. If the Golden Order wants to pride itself on being an influential organization, it should have kept him alive.
I'm sorry about the fate of the King of France, Duke Manuel. However, I'm surprised at your remark. How can a man like me have changed the course of things where a man like you, powerful, capable of influencing international politics, was unable to do any better?
Perhaps we may begin, Lord Mortimer.
Certainly. I have a dream that our nations will continue to support each other, more now than ever before. A dream that, for the sake of common good, we will do what it takes to ensure stability in the modern world. I have a dream that we shall lead by example and ensure that the American territory may remain in peace.
Thank you for the thought, Lord Mortimer, but I don't see where you're leading.
I'm coming to it, Mr. President. I need not remind you that North America is currently divided between the United States on the east coast and Spain, which occupies the remaining 2/3 of the continent. Well, I propose that Spain cede the center of the continent to France, namely all of Louisiana.
Louisiana? But, well, it is not for sale. Lord Mortimer, I sincerely hope I have not come all this way just to hear you ramble on about what Spain should and should not do. When we went to all the trouble of gaining the territory a few years ago, it was not just to lose it today. Have I made myself clear?
What did I tell you, William? You speak of union, and yet here you are, about to tear us apart.
Duke Manuel, I perfectly understand you. But rest assured, you will soon adore my proposition. You shall see.
Well, Since you give me the choice, my good fellow, allow me to doubt it. However, I am impatient to hear what Spain could possibly gain from the sale of Louisiana.
I never spoke of a sale, my good fellow.
What? But I do not understand.
There is one more territory left to conquer, if I'm not mistaken, in the northwest. It is, of course, occupied by your notorious Indians, but...
We shall soon be rid of the savages, so that is not the question.
Duke, these savages, as you call them, were there before you. They are on their homeland.
As much as the black people of Africa, Monsieur de Richet. That does not stop your dear France from massacring them and sending them like cattle to Mr. Washington's cotton plantations to provide him with cheap labor. So you keep your morals to yourself, if you please.
Senor, I would not like to be associated with that. The subject of black slaves in the United States of America is a complex subject, which we shall resolve at a future date.
It obviously doesn't stop you from sleeping at night.
Not in the least. Do not imagine I have anything against the American Indians or the blacks. That is not the question. But business is business. It is the natural order of things, Monsieur de Richet. There have always been men who govern other men. That is simply the way it is.
And it might as well be the likes of you who rule. Is that right?
But of course.
Come now, my friends. Let us not digress. Anyway, these primitive people have no souls, Louis. We bring the good word to them in order to save them. You'll see. Colonization brings with it many benefits, too.
Excuse me, if you don't mind, Your Eminence, I shall continue. Duke Manuel, I believe that Spain should cede Louisiana to France free of charge.
This is utterly grotesque, Lord Mortimer. What a strange example you set for your young protégé. Isn't that so, Monsieur de Richet? Do you understand anything of this proposition?
If I were you, Senor Godoy, I would think twice before stirring up a scandal.
I beg your pardon?
Given the size of your colonies, you won't be able to keep them for long. A number of countries are eyeing them as we speak. The United States would have no trouble taking them. For all intents and purposes, you have no army in place. By wanting to keep everything, you risk losing it all, especially your colonies in South America, which are far more valuable to you.
That is indeed the danger, Duke Manuel. If it comes to war over Louisiana, you will lose. And probably a good deal more than you now imagine.
Young man, you are indeed a dark horse, aren't you?
I must say, William, I find your project mostly disfavors me. I thought you were my friend.
And I am, Mr. President. That is why I'm doing everything in my power to calm your expansionist fervor. France, in Louisiana, should persuade you not to attempt anything to take the territory by force. Louisiana is a vast wetland where you would needlessly lose most of your troops. It would weaken you and offer certain nations the perfect opportunity to take back your famous United States. I am protecting you from yourself, George. Trust me.
I understand. But with friends like you, sir, I certainly don't need any more enemies. I hope you know what you're doing.
Am I imagining things, or does it look like Washington isn't aware of Mortimer's plan?
Not to put too fine a point on it, Lord Mortimer, but I doubt the Holy See would be in favor of Catholic Louisiana being handed over to secular revolutionaries and king killers.
I should think Monsieur de Richet has an opinion on this subject, does he not?
If France took the Papal States, their opinion over the sale of Louisiana would be definitely resolved.
Good Lord. You are talking of an invasion of Italy.
Don't take it the wrong way, Your Eminence. Colonization brings with it many benefits. You'll see.
Very funny, Monsieur de Richet. Mi auguro che insegnerete l'educazione a questo giovanotto presuntuoso, Sir Gregory.
In any case, my lord, I doubt the English crown will agree.
Ich versichere Ihnen, Emily, nie Preußen wird diese Vereinbarung akzeptieren.
I assure you, Emily, the Prussian will never accept this agreement. Volner looks like he's set on ruining Mortimer's plan.
Duchess, I am persuaded that we shall find a common ground.
That's enough, William. These are grave times. We don't care about the fate of Louisiana. That worthless expanse of putrid swamps interests no one but yourself.
Speak for yourself, my friend.
Hold on there, Mr. Royal Gigolo. Lower the volume, and let Sir Gregory finish.
Home, Godoy, and now Volner? Mortimer's adversaries are ready to tear each other to pieces, and he takes a malicious pleasure in watching it happen.
How dare you!
Gentlemen, let us try to remain calm.
There you are, William. See where your projects have taken us, as per usual. Chaos! That's enough. I'm tired. We shall continue this discussion tomorrow, but please be aware that your project will never be ratified. Those who are opposed to this project, follow me. Are you coming with us, Monsieur de Richet?
Come, Gregory, I think Louis would rather stay. Wouldn't you, Louis?
As for me, I think I shall remain with Lord Mortimer, Sir Gregory.
You are committing a grave error, Louis.
Time will tell.
My friends, I would like to thank you for staying.
Good God, William. What is this I hear about you reinforcing military power in Louisiana? I have no interest in having France for a neighbor, and you know that very well.
Calm down, George. Louis, explain our plan to Mr. Washington, please.
You see, Mr. President, Lord Mortimer anticipates that once France obtains Louisiana, they will cede it to you.
What do you mean? To us? The United States?
You heard right.
But
President Washington, the United States will double in size.
By what miracle have you...
You need to expand, George. You and France are the two major democracies in the modern world. It is necessary that you both become superpowers.
Are you really going to sponsor democracy throughout the world?
Of course, Monsieur Peru. That's why I don't want Spain to get too attached to those wetlands. Please continue, Louis. Explain my vision to Mr. President.
By going through France, Spain won't suspect that it's you who's going to take possession of Louisiana. They'll even believe that France will be a protective buffer between itself in California and you on the East Coast. If Senor Godoy was afraid that you might take the territory by force, now he is reassured. You would never attack France.
But why didn't you tell me before?
So that Lord Mortimer would appear to be isolated without support.
Exactly. You got it, Louis.
Lord Mortimer retains the advantage by advancing undercover, and for it to work, he needed you to act surprised.
William, you haven't changed. Always one step ahead.
One step ahead? You're joking. More like 5.
On that note, my friends, it's getting late. Mr. President, continue to take offense over my project when we resume the conference in the morning. You do it to a T. And if Sir Gregory has the audacity to send you an emissary to convince you to go against me, do me a favor. String him along if you can. The more they believe we are divided, the more we'll have our hands free.
Only too happy to oblige.
Now, let us get some rest. We've got a big day tomorrow. Good night, gentlemen.
Good night.
Louis, if you have a minute, I would like to ask a favor of you. I'm going to require your services.
How can I be of help? Tell me all about it.
Our adversaries are many, and the closing vote of the conference will soon be upon us. Time is of an essence, so I'll need you to assist me this evening.
How can I help?
I need you to go this very evening to persuade Signor Godoy to join us. He is the backbone of Gregory's resistance. Turn him round, and all the others will follow in such a stampede that Gregory will be able to do nothing but admit defeat.
Lord Mortimer, with all due respect, don't you think I'm the last person Godoy wants to talk to?
I'm sure you can do it. I believe in you.
If you believe that's the best way, then...
Nevertheless, I wouldn't bring up all the habits and customs of the court with him too much. I sense he's on edge at the moment. I doubt he'll be able to abide by the rules of etiquette that befit his rank.
Thanks for the advice.
However, it must be done for the conference tomorrow morning. It's important to me.
I'll go straight away.
Thank you, my boy. And get some rest afterwards. Big day tomorrow.
Aren't you afraid our projects for Italy may be discovered before we... Oh, please excuse us, Louis, but I need to speak with Lord Mortimer in private.
No. What do you want, Louis?
I'm going to have a word with Duke Manuel, but you know him better than I do, I believe.
Yes. Avoid any marks of respect and protocol pertaining to his rank. He's not fond of courtly manners.
Thank you for the advice, my lord. When are we supposed to vote?
The conference resumes tomorrow morning. That leaves little time for the little favor I spoke to you about.
Indeed. I'll go straight away. I shall be leaving you.
A Byzant from the Byzantine Empire, a coin often used during the St. Louis era. Amber crystals.
The alchemist is an old man.
Honey, the remedy of the gods. Amber crystals.
the conversion of Ulysses by Gurs. Circe changing Ulysses' companions into swines. Duke Manuel?
Well, well. Monsieur de Richet, I was not expecting you. I am not in the mood, sir, I warn you. What do you want from me, sir?
I see you're still feeling under pressure. Since your arrival, I've noticed that you've been on the defensive.
Huh?
It seems to me that Monsieur Peru has a knack for getting your back up.
That is the least you can say. Indeed, I was warned. I knew what to expect. For God's sake, why in the hell did your people execute their king? Have the French gone stark raving mad? There are nothing but monarchies in power in Europe. They will all come crashing down on you.
We shall see. It might, well, turn out to be the opposite.
You certainly do not lack for audacity, young man. Just tell me one thing, monsieur. Why did you side with Mortimer? He is alone, isolated. The United States can do nothing to help you, and France is surrounded by over 10 countries, just waiting for the word to pounce. Really, I do not see why you choose Mortimer.
The Golden Order, my friend. The Order is everywhere. We come from France, we are President of the United States, England, and many other countries. We have ambitions and the means to carry them out. You'll see, once all hell breaks out and your English support starts to fade away. The Order is an international organization. It matters little what governments do. Otherwise, why would Mortimer have gone to the trouble of inviting my mother?
If you are right, Sir Gregory has got it all wrong. Tell me, do you really believe Spain has any interest in ceding Louisiana to France?
Duke Manuel, for Spain, I don't know. But for you, I'm convinced that Lord Mortimer will thank you generously.
You would not be trying to bribe me, would you?
Nothing could be further from my mind. It would be an insult to believe that someone such as yourself might have a practical attitude towards its virtue. Even so, it is only natural that you be supported and encouraged if you were to follow Lord Mortimer, isn't it?
Indeed, for services rendered, it would be natural for me to receive compensation for the time spent achieving such an undertaking, yes?
Naturally. And, given your status, my Lord Duke, the compensation would have to be considerable.
Naturally. Tell me one last thing. What would I gain from all this?
I'm sure that Lord Mortimer will be very appreciative. He's always supported those who have given him help, and you know well that he has every means to do so.
That at least is true.
Come on, you fool, give it up. You're trapped like a rat.
Monsieur, I am astounded. I did not think you capable, but you have succeeded. I will be more wary of you the next time. Nonetheless, if you can guarantee Lord Mortimer's support, then yes, you can count on my vote when the time comes. However, I expect you to be discreet with regard to my former partners, without which our agreement will become null and void.
Of course, my Lord Duke. You can count on me. Lord Mortimer will be delighted to hear the news.
I hope you know what you are getting into, Louis. I bid you good luck.
Good night, my Lord Duke.
See you tomorrow. Well, that's one thing out of the way. Only thing left to do is wait for the conference to resume tomorrow morning.